Hey there, bookworms and hopeless romantics. We're diving into a classic love story, a tale as old as time, or at least as old as 1813. That's when Jane Austen penned her masterpiece, Pride and Prejudice. This isn't your typical cheesy romance. Pride and Prejudice is a witty, insightful look at love, society, and everything in between. Don't worry, we'll keep it light and breezy, like a walk in the English countryside, but with fewer petticoats. This book is legendary. It's been adapted into movies, TV shows, even musicals. People just can't get enough of Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. Why? Because their story is timeless. It's about overcoming obstacles, challenging expectations, and finding love in the most unexpected places. So buckle up, grab your tea and biscuits, and let's unravel this literary gem together. Imagine England in the early 1800s. Social media, forget it. Netflix and chill, not a thing. Entertainment meant attending balls, gossiping about your neighbors, and most importantly, securing a good marriage. This was especially true for women. Their future depended on finding a husband with a hefty bank account. Jane Austen, our literary hero, saw right through this societal charade. She used her sharp wit and keen observations to craft stories that were both entertaining and thought-provoking. Pride and Prejudice perfectly captures the social pressures and expectations of her time. It shows how love and societal norms often collide. Meet the Bennets, a family living in the peaceful English countryside. They're not rolling in riches, but they have a roof over their heads and enough drama to rival a reality TV show. The matriarch, Mrs. Bennet, is obsessed with marrying off her 5 daughters. I mean, who needs a 401k when you can marry your daughters off to wealthy gentlemen, right? Our protagonist, Elizabeth Bennet, is different. She's intelligent, independent, and she's not about to marry just anyone for money or status. She wants true love, damn it. Elizabeth is the voice of reason in her chaotic family, and her sharp wit and independent spirit make her one of literature's most beloved characters. Get ready to meet some unforgettable characters and dive into their world of romance, misunderstandings, and of course, Pride and Prejudice. Picture this. You're a young woman in 19th century England, and finding a husband is basically your full-time job. No pressure, right? That's the reality for the Bennet sisters, especially with their mother constantly breathing down their necks. Mrs. Bennet is convinced that a rich bachelor is the answer to all their problems, kind of like winning the lottery, but with fancier hats. Elizabeth, however, sees through this superficiality. She's not interested in being anyone's trophy wife. She wants a partner, someone who challenges her and respects her intelligence. But finding such a man in their small, gossip-filled town seems as likely as spotting a unicorn in their backyard. The rumor mill goes into overdrive when Mr. Bingley, a charming and wealthy bachelor, moves into the neighborhood. Mrs. Bennet practically faints from excitement seeing dollar signs, or should I say pound signs, in her daughter's futures. Bingley is accompanied by his friend Mr. Darcy, who's even richer but about as approachable as a brick wall. Bingley seems smitten with the eldest Bennet sister, Jane, who is as sweet and gentle as a summer breeze. Darcy, on the other hand, comes across as arrogant and judgmental, particularly towards Elizabeth. Their personalities clash like cymbals in a symphony, creating delightful tension and setting the stage for a battle of wits. Elizabeth overhears Darcy making a less than flattering remark about her at a ball. Ouch! Pride wounded, Elizabeth writes him off as a snob, confirming her initial prejudice against him. Meanwhile, Darcy finds himself strangely drawn to Elizabeth's wit and intelligence despite her lower social standing. He's intrigued, but his pride prevents him from seeing past their differences. Their interactions are a whirlwind of witty banter, veiled insults, and a whole lot of unspoken tension. It's like watching a tennis match, with each volley more charged than the last. Little do they know, their pride and prejudice are blinding them to the possibility of a connection that runs deeper than they could ever imagine. The social season continues with a flurry of balls, dinners, and awkward encounters. Remember, this is long before Tinder and Bumble, so social gatherings are the only way to meet potential mates. Elizabeth and Darcy's paths keep crossing, their conversations a delightful mix of animosity and reluctant admiration. Just when it seems like these two might be warming up to each other, another obstacle emerges. Darcy's meddling nature and Elizabeth's unwavering prejudice lead to a series of misunderstandings, pushing them further apart. Will their pride and prejudice stand in the way of true love? Stay tuned to find out. Just when you thought things couldn't get juicier, enter Mr. Wickham, a charming soldier who sweeps into town like a knight in shining armor. He's handsome, charismatic, and everyone loves him, especially Elizabeth. Wickham has a sob story for the ages, claiming Darcy cheated him out of his inheritance. Elizabeth, blinded by her dislike for Darcy, believes him wholeheartedly. Wickham's lies spread like wildfire through the rumor mill, painting Darcy as the villain and Wickham as the victim. Elizabeth's prejudice against Darcy intensifies, while her admiration for Wickham grows. But remember, appearances can be deceiving. Wickham is a master manipulator, and his charm is nothing but a carefully constructed facade. In a move that surprises everyone, especially Elizabeth, Mr. Darcy decides to swallow his pride, sort of, and propose marriage. However, his proposal is about as romantic as a tax audit. He lists all the reasons why he shouldn't be in love with Elizabeth, her family's lower social standing, her embarrassing mother, you name it, before declaring his undying love. Smooth move, Darcy. Elizabeth, understandably offended, delivers a resounding no. She accuses him of ruining Wickham's life and generally being an all-around jerk. Darcy is shocked. He expected Elizabeth to swoon at his feet, not unleash a tirade about his character flaws. Their confrontation is a clash of egos and a testament to the power of miscommunication. After the disastrous proposal, Darcy does something unexpected. He writes Elizabeth a letter, and this isn't just any love letter filled with flowery prose and empty promises. No, this letter is a truth bomb. Darcy lays bare Wickham's lies, revealing him to be a gambler who tried to elope with Darcy's younger sister. Talk about a plot twist. Elizabeth is forced to confront her own prejudices. She realizes she misjudged both men, allowing her dislike for Darcy and her infatuation with Wickham to cloud her judgment. Guilt and shame wash over her as she understands the depth of her mistake. This is a pivotal moment for Elizabeth, a turning point in her journey of self-discovery. She begins to question everything she thought she knew, opening herself up to the possibility that Darcy might not be the monster she imagined him to be. Just when things start to settle, a scandal erupts. Lydia, the youngest and most impulsive Bennet sister, elopes with none other than Mr. Wickham. Remember those charming soldier skills we talked about? Yeah, they're apparently very effective on naive teenagers. This isn't just any elopement, though. In the eyes of society, it's a disgrace that could ruin the entire Bennet family's reputation. Remember that whole marriage market thing? Yeah, Lydia just blew it up for all her sisters. News of Lydia's elopement throws the Bennet family into chaos. Mrs. Bennet takes to her bed wailing about their ruined reputation, while Mr. Bennet grapples with the reality of Wickham's true nature. Elizabeth, consumed by guilt and worry, can barely function. She sees the elopement as a direct result of her own misjudgment. If she hadn't been so quick to believe Wickham's lies, maybe she could have warned Lydia. But wait, just when all hope seems lost, a glimmer appears on the horizon. Mr. Darcy, the man Elizabeth rejected so forcefully, steps up to help. Shocking, right? He secretly tracks down the runaway couple and, using his wealth and influence, forces Wickham to marry Lydia. He does all this without seeking any recognition or expecting anything in return. Talk about a redemption arc. Darcy's actions speak volumes. It's clear that his feelings for Elizabeth run deeper than his pride. He's willing to risk his own reputation to protect her family, even if it means swallowing his pride and dealing with the man he despises most. This act of selflessness throws a whole new light on Darcy's character. He's not the arrogant, unfeeling snob Elizabeth thought he was. Elizabeth starts to see the real Darcy, the man hidden beneath the layers of pride and societal expectations. She realizes that her prejudice blinded her to his true nature. But is it too late for them? Has she missed her chance at happiness with the one man who might understand her completely? Section 3, Pemberley, where Darcy shines. Remember how I mentioned Darcy was loaded? Well, get ready for a field trip to Pemberley, his grand estate. It's like stepping into a Jane Austen novel, complete with sprawling grounds, elegant decor, and enough wealth to make your head spin. Elizabeth visits Pemberley with her aunt and uncle, unaware that Darcy is in residence. Talk about an awkward encounter waiting to happen. But here's where Darcy truly shines. He's not putting on a show for Elizabeth. He's genuinely kind and welcoming, treating her and her relatives with respect and courtesy. He even introduces Elizabeth to his equally lovely sister, shattering the rumors of his arrogance and coldness. Elizabeth is smitten, to say the least. Section 4. A change of heart and scenery. As Elizabeth spends more time with Darcy, her feelings for him deepen. She sees his kindness, his intelligence, and his genuine affection for her. He's nothing like the arrogant snob she initially pegged him to be. She realizes that her pride and prejudice prevented her from seeing the real Darcy, the man worthy of her love. But their newfound happiness is short-lived. Lydia's scandalous elopement threatens to resurface, casting a shadow over their budding relationship. Will Darcy still want Elizabeth after all the drama her family has caused? And can Elizabeth overcome her own insecurities and admit her true feelings? Section 1. Second chances and second thoughts. The news of Lydia's marriage, orchestrated by Darcy no less, throws the Bennet household into a frenzy. Mrs. Bennet, true to form, is ecstatic. No longer facing social ruin, she envisions lavish wedding gifts and boasts about her son-in-law to anyone who will listen. Mr. Bennet remains skeptical, unsure what to make of Darcy's involvement, but relieved that the scandal has been contained. Elizabeth finds herself wrestling with a whirlwind of emotions. Gratitude towards Darcy for saving her family from disgrace wars with the lingering sting of her previous rejection. She sees now the depth of his character, the man he truly is beneath the facade of pride. The realization that she might have misjudged him so completely, that she might have let prejudice blind her to genuine affection, leaves her reeling. Enter Lady Catherine de Bourgh, Darcy's overbearing and, let's face it, rather intimidating aunt. Think of her as the ultimate stage mom, but instead of pushing her child into show business, she's determined to control Darcy's love life. And she has her sights set on her own daughter Anne as the future Mrs. Darcy. Did someone say forced marriage? Yikes. Lady Catherine catches wind of a potential romance between Darcy and Elizabeth and decides to take matters into her own hands. She pays Elizabeth a surprise visit, demanding she renounce any claim to Darcy's affections. It's a classic case of she's not good enough for you, but with more lace and snide comments about social standing. But Elizabeth, never one to back down from a challenge, stands her ground. She refuses to be intimidated, politely but firmly asserting her right to choose her own destiny. Lady Catherine's interference, however misguided, has unintended consequences. It pushes Darcy to confront his own feelings, to admit to himself the depth of his love for Elizabeth. He proposes again, this time with a humility and sincerity that melts Elizabeth's heart. No more awkward speeches, just a heartfelt declaration of love. Elizabeth, finally free from the shackles of her own prejudice, accepts. Their love story, once fraught with misunderstandings and societal pressures, culminates in a union built on mutual respect, understanding, and a healthy dose of attraction. The ending might seem a bit too neat, too fairy tale-like, but hey, it's Jane Austen and we wouldn't have it any other way. Plus, after all the drama, these two deserve a little bit of happiness, don't they? Woo! What a ride, right? We've laughed, we've cried, and learned about love, pride, and judging a book by its cover. Pride and Prejudice isn't just a love story, it's a satirical commentary on 19th century England's social structures. Austen skewers the obsession with wealth and status, and the pressure on women to marry well. Even after 200 years, it still resonates today. We still make snap judgments, letting our pride and prejudices cloud our judgment. Think about it. We swipe left and right on dating apps, judging potential partners based on a few photos and curated bios. We scroll through filtered Instagram feeds, comparing ourselves to others and feeling inadequate. We're bombarded with messages about success, what to wear, how to look, and who to be. Sound familiar? Jane Austen's message is still relevant. Look beyond the surface, challenge assumptions, and question the status quo. True love, real connection doesn't care about bank accounts or followers. It's about finding someone who sees and understands you and loves you for who you are, flaws and all. Pick up a copy of Pride and Prejudice. You'll laugh, you'll swoon, and learn about yourself along the way. Happy reading.